I'm Melissa Shanahan, and this is the Law Firm Owner Podcast, episode number 230. Welcome to the Law Firm Owner Podcast, powered by Velocity Work, for owners who want to grow a firm that gives them the life they want. Get crystal clear on where you're going, take planning seriously, and honor your plan like a pro. This is the work that creates velocity. All right. Welcome to this week's episode, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. We have a special guest this week, Bibi Goldstein. Hi, Bibi.
Hi, Melissa. How are you?
I'm so great. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh my God, I'm so excited to talk with your community and I love talking to you. I think that you and I, with the recording without a podcast, could just sit here and chat for hours.
Definitely, 100%. I'm going to let you introduce yourself a bit, just give everybody a little bit background, but I thought I would let all the listeners know how I came to know you. So I have two private clients that use your services. Bibi's company is called Buying Time. And so one of them, the first one that really talked to me about you, is an appellate attorney. And he has told me that appellate attorneys are sticklers for margins and spacing and, all the things. And your company produces presentations for him that he loves when he gets them, and he doesn't have to go correct a bunch of stuff. And I am crazy about margins and spacing and typos, just the details. So when he said that, I thought, how did you find someone to deliver you something you gave a thumbs up on? Because that's amazing. So that was my first conversation about Buying Time. And then there's another client that also uses your services and is super happy with you guys as well. So they introduced me to you. We talked, and it was very clear you could help meet some of our needs. So now Velocity Work is one of your clients as well. And it has been an absolute joy to be a client of yours. So I'm excited to talk today because not only do I know that there's two law firm owners from my sphere that are extremely happy with your services, but so am I. And I'm going to stop talking now because I'm talking too much. So do you want to give everybody just a little rundown of who you are and what your company does? And then we'll dig into the evolution.
Yes. Okay. So I think that the best way to kind of start is that my life before Buying Time was in the corporate world. I worked for 26 years or so in the transportation and logistics world. Now, I would never have thought that would translate to this, but there were so many things that I was doing on a regular basis. And we can get into a little bit of that as we talk about the evolution of where Buying Time started to where it is now. But, for me, that corporate history taught me a lot in how to build teams, because I was working for large companies like UPS Supply Chain. I was a mid-level manager for them. And I was running a transportation center with hundreds of employees. And it was something that I had built in with me that I could build a team. I knew how to build a team. I knew what to do. I knew how to get to that next level. So fast forward to 2007, my father actually had passed away in 2000. They were immigrants who came to the States when we were very young. I was little over a year old when I came to the States. And my father did everything. My mom, she didn't even get her driver's license until she was in her 40s. That's who she was. So when my dad passed away, she had to take on handling everything. And so we ran into a lot of challenges and things like that. And so the reason why Buying Time came even to play was because I was traveling all the time. I had a small child. I was, married 5 years or so at that point to my second husband. And I'm sitting there going, I don't have time to do all of this. I don't have time to be here to write checks for your bills and find, somebody to go take you grocery shopping because we had to take her license away. And so I started to look for a company that did stuff like that just helped people to do whatever it was. It didn't matter what it was. And I couldn't find anybody. Hence, Buying Time was born.
Yeah. Tell everybody what Buying Time is. I didn't say that yet.
So Buying Time is a virtual support company now. We started out as a personal assistant company. So we were the people who were picking up dry cleaning, walking dogs, you name it, we did it. But we were working for busy professionals, people who were traveling a lot, didn't have time to go grocery shopping, didn't have time to take their car in for maintenance, didn't have time to get their car washed, things like that. And over time, interestingly enough, we had a local attorney who was a business attorney who came to us and said, "Hey, I want to appear bigger than I am. How about if you guys take all my consult calls, intakes, book the conference room?" She was working out of her house. And so we handled all of that. We started taking care of that. And then she started to do more speaking. So I was like, I did PowerPoints, I can handle that. And then I came across this world that I did not know existed. And that was 16 years ago. I discovered this idea that there are virtual assistants. They work anywhere, they work only online. And so we evolved. The insurance was cheaper, everything was better than people driving around and doing things. And so we transitioned to a virtual system. At the time, I had a business partner. In 2011, we split, and I kind of started to create this opportunity for us to have more services. That was based on the idea that we looked at what somebody needed and we never said no. Hey, do you know how to use this software? Nope, but I will learn it. If it's something that you need help with, I'll learn it. And we learned it on our own time. We didn't charge clients for the learning curve. And now I would say that we are probably in somewhere in the range of about 50 to 60 different softwares on an annual basis, whether it be different website platforms, different CRMs, different phone systems, different platforms for creating graphics. I mean, there are so many softwares out there. I know I don't have to tell you this. You probably use several of them in your business. And so Buying Time just really kind of became that place that learned everything.
I got to say, now that I've experienced working with you guys, and I'm sure we'll get into this, there is a level of commitment from your team that is impressive. And what I mean by that is normally it would scare me when someone says, yes, we'll learn the software. It's like, okay, really? I'll just go find an expert that knows the software. And I guess that's an option, right? But what is true is that you guys really do make a commitment to learn it and learn it well. Like, you're not interested in not being proficient at the software that clients are using. And so you take it very seriously. It's very clear to me how serious you guys take it. And that means a lot. It sort of states that you really are wanting to be a partner with that business and not just a transaction. That goes a long way from an owner's perspective, for sure. For sure.
I think it's hard to wrap your head around the idea that when you hire a vendor, a service, that the service is giving you what they said they were going to give you, but then being able to take it even a step further, right? It's like, for us, the idea that I want to learn that software because it creates a new skill set. And guess what? If you're asking for that software, then somebody else is going to ask for it. And now I can say, hey, we're proficient at this, or we've begun to use this software. Not to mention a lot of software companies that we have a client now who we learned something from, and now we have another client who has the need that we now have a resource for.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And that happens a lot for us, where we'll be able to refer someone to somebody else. I don't want my team to ever be in a situation where they're uncomfortable. They may not be the right person to learn it, but there's going to be somebody on our team who might be the right person to learn it, who wants to know that software. Because we have a whole team, it makes it a little bit easier.
I think I should make a couple things clear just in case for listeners. You're US based only. you guys are on the West Coast, but you serve clients all over the nation and probably beyond. Is that right? Okay. Yeah. Ideal
And I will
clients.
say, I want to clarify that we are primarily based, like 90% of our staff is US based. We've had folks in the UK working for us. So we have had those specialized folks working in other areas.
Totally. Yeah. And then ideal clients for you are law firm owners. I mean, that's how I met you, was through two law firm owners.
We love them because they're busy. They're very specific on what they need and what they want. And they are so good at delegating, so good at delegating. And that's one of the toughest parts when you're bringing on team members, because that's the other part of our service. As you said, we're part of your team now. We're not just a vendor for you.
I don't know. I'm putting you on the spot here because I didn't ask you this before. Do you think that you can rattle off types of things that you handle for law firms? Because I think when people think about getting virtual support, administrative staff comes to mind, but a lot of people think about paralegal, legal assistant, that kind of stuff. But there's so much I know for the clients that we share that you do for them that is such a relief to their world. I could probably think of some things, but can you think of some things off the top of your head or types of things that you do for law firms?
For sure. And I do want to say that although we only share 2 clients together right now, we also have several other attorneys that we provide service to.
I did know that. I should have said that.
Yeah. So when I look at all of the things that we're doing for them, social media is a really big piece. That's one of the areas for attorneys that, like, they know they have to do it, especially for the owners. They know that they have to do it. They know that it needs to be there, but they don't want to do it. The second one you already mentioned, helping them with PowerPoints, with presentations. We've put together entire PDF manuals and things for them. We have an attorney that gives us things to do that are non-legal, like filing a statement of information. Does not require you to be a paralegal to do that. There are situations like email management. We have an attorney who has set up an assistant at whatever, we handle the customer service aspect of things. In some cases, we're sending invoices for those folks as well. You know, one of the attorneys has their own podcast. We send out the podcast information or gifts after the podcast is done. We have a variety of different areas where it's, you know, booking travel, again, helping them with email inbox management. There was a point in time with one of our clients that we were helping them with document management and helping them to put the right documents in the right folders online, right? That went with the different cases. So there are a ton of different things that we can do for attorneys. I think that some of it is really getting them to get it out of their head and onto paper. I mean, it's one of the things that I always encourage people to do first is keep a notebook with you or something for a week and start to write down the things that you're doing every day that you don't like doing and the things that you do like doing. Just put like a happy face and a sad face on one side and the other, and just write them down. Because if you can get rid of those things that you don't enjoy doing right off the bat, get rid of them. Although we're talking about attorneys, you know that another industry that we work a lot with is therapists, right? So it's the same kind of concept with therapists and with attorneys in that they are doing a one-to-one in most cases with clients. When they are a law firm owner, they have other attorneys that are also doing it. And we know the whole conversation about billable versus non-billable, right? You want as much billable as you can. So why is that attorney putting together the invoice that goes out to the client when even that 15 minutes of billable time is worth a lot more than what they would be paying a virtual assistant?
Right. Absolutely. One thing I don't want to forget to ask you, I've asked you this before, but I don't remember what you said. Have you read Buy Back Your Time?
No, but you recommended it to me.
You have got to read that. Well, and actually, I know that one of the mutual clients that we've been talking about uses your company to implement that email management system. And it's going really well. It's like seriously changed their life. And I love
I love that.
listening to them talk about it. I mean, and that's the kind of thing that they didn't want to hand to someone inside of the firm because of the sensitive nature of things that can be an email. So they chose to use buying time, and it has totally changed their world. So in that book, I think that if you could use that to market yourself with law firm owners, because there's so many law firm owners reading that right now. Anyway, I'm just thinking out loud at
Yeah,
this point.
I have barely started it, so I am getting into it. But, especially with that particular client, I think that one of the things that I can't emphasize enough is that they are always willing to try. Like, okay, let's try this. The worst that happens is that it doesn't work and I got to figure out another solution, but let's try this with you guys first. And that is something that, like, it's funny because you and I were talking about like having the right attitude about things, right? And that is so important in this. If you have the right attitude and you have the ability to say, yes, I'm going to try this. And the worst that happens is that I fail and I'm going to try it in another way. And I don't know. I love that idea anyways.
I do too. And I think a lot of people, they are hesitant to be that gung ho because typically law firm owners are used to or think that this is the way it needs to be, or they have done it this way in the past where they are lifting to get something delegated. But truly, with buying time, that has been a very different experience for me. All I have to do is say it, and someone is like, all right, let's get going. Like they take the lead. That is a big deal. I was just thinking as you were talking, there's two things this week that I realized, why am I doing this? And part of me is weighted. I haven't put in the channel that this is a thing because I need to get my ducks in a row first. And that's not true. With you guys, I don't need to get my ducks in a row. You will get my ducks in a row and get the task handed over. So it's funny. You can get in your own way. Even if you intellectually understand this stuff, you can still get in your own way with it.
We all do. We all do. And I think that the more that you can just stop yourself like you just did and say, hold on, I don't need to. Let me at least have the conversation, figure out what the next steps are. And I appreciate you saying that because I think that that's one of the things in the philosophies that we really try to get our team focused on is listen, you don't have to have all the answers right when you talk with the client. It's let's figure out what they need support with and then come back to the whole rest of the team. There's 10 of us. Let's all brainstorm or let's figure out how to make this happen.
I mean, let's talk. You mentioned your team. Let's talk about your team for a second. I do not know how to explain very well, but I'm going to try. And then I'm going to let you like fill in the gaps. Your team. As a client of buying time, you don't just have one VA. You have a team. So Bibi has set up people in specialized roles. There is one email address that I contact or channel, like we use Slack sometimes with you guys, but there's one inlet for us. And then from there, there's someone that picks up the task, decides who this should go to, delegates that, comes back to any questions they have, whatever. But there's someone that does the handoff to the appropriate person on your team. So truly, it's not that I think another reason people might be hesitant to just hand over whatever is because you're kind of assuming that one person can do it all, but they don't need to assume that with you guys because you have a bunch of people on your team with specialized skill sets that there is a person to pass it to. And that's unique. I've never worked with a virtual support company that is that. I've always worked with a virtual assistant. And though there's been a lot of value in that, it's different. This is different. So I don't know if you want to speak to kind of how you set this up. And you said that it wasn't always this way. Like you came to this setup because of your experience working with clients. This is the best setup.
Yeah, I think that the way that I could express this the best is that when clients would come to us and say, okay, well, I have this contractor I'm paying to do my graphics for my social media, but I want you guys to post them because you're more cost effective. I also have, my blog that needs to get posted to my website, but, you guys are more cost effective than the web designer that has to go in and do that. And I don't want to learn how to do it. So like we ended up having these conversations over and over again. And I started to figure out like, well, why can't I just have somebody on our team that does the web stuff and that does the graphic stuff and that does the social media? And over time, we've built all of these. I will say that currently 100% of our staff has come to us referral based. They were someone who knew someone, or that even one of our existing staff already knew and had a skill set that would come to play. I will tell you the story of one of our VAs who had very little skill set of anything. And she's been really active in, I'll learn that. And now she's turned into one of our VAs that is so specialized in automation and understands all of those things. But it wasn't something that was there before she got here, right? And that was that same philosophy of let me learn, and really encouraging our team, let me learn the next thing. So when you're talking about a virtual assistant, like you mentioned, you're getting one person with one set of skills. With buying time, we wanted to build the atmosphere of a team. That's the first thing. We wanted to build the atmosphere of a team, and we wanted to create the opportunity for more revenue for us and more opportunity for the client to not have to go to multiple contractors to find what they're looking for. Everybody's heard of Upwork and these things that are out there, but you still have to go and vet them. You still have to go and find them. You still have to be the person who's managing them. You have to be the one who reaches out to them and says, hey, where's my stuff that I hired you for? We have created a business that allows for our clients to communicate to one place, as you mentioned, and at the same time have a point person based on the majority of their work. So if the majority of their work was, let's just say, CRM management, and they were doing all of the automation and email marketing and everything, and that was 50% of their business, then that point person would then be the person who would reach out when you needed other things and get the other person involved, right? The other team member involved. I don't think, I could be wrong, but I don't think that there is a single client really that we have, aside from bookkeeping, that really only works with one of our team members for everything.
Mm-hmm.
I think that whether it's our operations manager, Steph, or our QC manager, Jess, someone else is working with them as well.
Yeah.
There's always someone involved.
I really love the setup. It's so much easier to drop in the channel at buying time. I need this done. Here's a loom, da, 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 da. And then somebody will respond, got it. As soon as it's delegated, if we have any questions, I'll let you know. Like there's just it's passing the ball. The ball is always picked up and it's always given to the right person. And then it comes back to me or to a team member that's an employee of our company. So I'm just super grateful for it. You mentioned before the recording started that part of what you've learned is like you've gotten systems in place now that really serve you and make things easier. I don't know exactly what you meant by that, but there is the communication system for one, like how you communicate with clients. So that's great. But then also, as an example, the person who handles our social media has a killer spreadsheet. I mean, I'm a spreadsheet nerd. She created something that I cannot even, I was like, wow, it's so cool. Multi-tab, everything's connected. Everything is there. It's useful. It's really useful. So that's a system that was developed that I'm sure is used for anyone when it comes to managing their social media and doing it in a way that really aligns with the voice and the brand and all of that. So I don't know what else you want to say that might help people understand, when it comes to systems that you have in place that really let you be great at what you guys do.
She's going to want to take that little snippet of this podcast to post on our social media.
You'll probably hear that snippet on social because she's in charge of that. That's amazing.
So here's what I will say about this. So when I was in corporate, I went through Six Sigma training. Do you know Six Sigma? It's this certification program that they put you through to kind of be that person who can foresee what would fail and how you put something in place in order for it to not fail. For buying time, we've kind of like unrolled that in that something happened and now we've put systems in place. We've got 16 years of systems that have been put in place because of that. We have a turnaround time. If you send an email into our service email, we have a requirement that someone replies to you, even if it's just to say, Melissa, I'm not your point person, but we have your email. We've got your email and we'll make sure that you get the response that you need. We have a time frame in which quick requests are turned around. We have a overall time frame. People tell us all the time, like, how can you say that you will turn something over in 24 hours? And I think, are pretty good in meeting that requirement. It's when we run into a glitch or something like that, but we'll tell you. When a client is coming close to using all their hours for the month and they get a communication that says, you're getting close to using up your hours, do you approve overages? Because we had too many instances where we would bill for overages afterwards and we wouldn't receive payment for that. And those clients were 100% right. We should have gotten approval for that before. And so we put all of these systems in place. We talked a little bit about our intake process. That intake process is years in the making.
I want to tell them about it.
Go for it.
When you get onboarded at Buying Time, I was like, whoa, what is happening? You're invited to a Zoom call. I don't remember if I saw who was invited to the Zoom call or not. I get on the Zoom call and there's 5 faces there. And I was like, whoa, holy cow. It's me, one of my team members, one of my employees, and then there were, I think, 5 of you all. And so Bibi led that call. I don't know if you have other people do these sometimes or not, but you led that call and you introduced everybody. You explained what their role is or their skill sets were. And that was really cool. It was like, this is your team based on the types of tasks that you've talked about delegating to us. These are probably the core people you will work with. This is your project manager. I think, do you call it project manager? Yeah. Project manager, social, design. Oh, I'm falling short right now, but it was just incredible. So each person got to share, they got to ask questions about the kind of work that might be coming their way. It really felt like, oh, they've got this. Like what we hand them, they have got, and they all showed up to this call so that we're all on the same page about stuff and we can get rolling as seamlessly as possible. And that was a different onboarding experience that I've ever had. So much so, which I shared with you before the call, we are changing up some things about private where we're going to be more than just me leading. I will be leading. There will be someone for ops and systems be leading, facilitating private clients, team dynamics, workflows. Like we'll have different experts depending on the needs of the client. And we are all going to be on an onboarding call with those private clients as we move forward. And this will be shaping up in early 2024 because of what a fantastic experience that was to meet everybody ahead of time, get on the same page and feel like we're all going to run together in the same direction. That was cool. That was really cool.
I love that. I love hearing that. And I will be honest with you, I run very few of those intake calls. Jessica or Steph will run them. The project manager will run them. It just really depends on the degree of what needs to happen. And sometimes we have clients, and we're talking about because we were doing so many different things for you, we did that. Sometimes we have clients where they're just hiring us just to do their social media. And so if that's the case, you're going to have one person plus, the project manager or Jessica or Stephanie, whoever it is, but there's always going to be at least 2 people usually on an intake call. Because my team are all employees, they're not contractors. They know that this is part of our process to make our lives easier. If you gave me an instruction for something and I turned around and gave that instruction to someone else just by verbal or by written notes, I don't know that it's still going to translate the same way. And we learned that very early on. We also learned that everybody kind of sees the client in a different way. Like our social media person can usually pick out, like they are not going to want to create any content themselves. So I'm going to tell you that right now. They're not going to want to create and they get that out of the intake call, right? So they know that, hey, we've got to get the graphics person because they're going to be creating that visual content. And we have to figure out what are the things that are going to make them tick. They can't do that and talk about it if they aren't seeing you say the same thing at the same time.
Yeah. No, it's super unique. You mentioned also before the recording started, which I thought was worth mentioning here, that so you have a point person and their job is to check in along the way to ensure that the client's happy, essentially. And I loved what you said. If there is an issue, and this is something you learned over time, because sometimes something would seem out of the blue to you guys, and you had to stop and ask yourself, is this a person thing? Is this a process thing? Or is this a perspective thing? And try to identify like root cause. What is really going on here? And then you put some things into place where now you have a point person that it's their job to proactively check in with the client, make sure everything is going smoothly. But I love the person thing, process thing, or perspective thing. Like that's an interesting way to segment out problems. And I'm thinking for law firm owners, anything in your firm, but this is what BB's team does also. Did you learn that from someone or?
It's definitely something that came from my corporate background. Honestly, it was something I used to get into all the time because I was the only female manager. I used to get into all the time where it was like, oh, so-and-so is this. And I go, well, how do you know that so-and-so is this? And I was lucky that I had some really great mentors who were like, let's peel this apart a little bit, right? And the point person that you're referring to is Jessica, who is our QC supervisor. She manages all of these things. And she's the one that's reaching out to clients. And she's the one who's like, tell me something's wrong right now when it's this small and we can fix it instead of it being this big and being an issue. And this idea that, is it a person thing, right? When I look at, is it really the person that can't do this? Is it really the person that's having an issue with the challenge of this task for this client? Or is the process just out of date? I mean, we have a franchise that we work with a lot of their different owners, with a lot of different franchise owners, and they're all individual different clients of ours, right? And although the core of all of the things that they do are the same, each of them has a different process in which they want to do it. And so it's really important that you identify, is there a flaw in the process? Is there a flaw in the person? Or did we just all see things from a whole different perspective, right? I'm sure you have this with your team. There's lots of times where you guys can all be on the same call and they'll go, wow, did you see when so-and-so did XYZ? And you would go like, oh, I didn't take it that way, right? And so we have that all the time. It's knowing that there's a cultural issue. Like, if we have a client that's from another country, is the way that they speak perceived as aggressive or rude, or is that just a cultural thing? And can we just get to that place? So I think that in anything in life, it's always the same thing. I think we could say that about our personal relationships. I think we can say it about business relationships. And I think that if we looked at support and the way that we service clients, as it's got to be service-based. The reason why people come to us is because they're overwhelmed with something. And because they're overwhelmed with something, the only way that we get the business from them, that we get work from them, is to give them a sense of calm, to give them a sense of relief that we can do what they need to get done so that they can run their business or do the things in their business that they love doing and not feel paralyzed by the things that they have to do and don't love.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for coming on the podcast to talk about this stuff. I really want all the listeners to know about you guys. Now watch. Hopefully now. I wonder if you're, are we going to overload you? I don't want to do that.
No, No, no. I
Oh,
mean, that's
yeah.
another system that we have in place. It's another
Yeah.
system that we have in place so
Yeah.
that, we can
Cool.
onboard as needed and do it quickly.
If people want to learn about the packages that you offer and the ways that people can get started with you, where's the best place for them to go?
Buyingtimellc.com. That is our website. We have everything on there. We are unusual in that we post our rates and our packages. Everything is on our website. So we want everyone to know everything up front before they even book a consult call with us. We always encourage everyone, because the consult call is free. Do the consult call. Even if you think that we are out of your price range, one of the things that you will find is that the long term in it is that we likely aren't. We're not charging you minimums in the sense of, if you give us one task, that we're taking off 15 minutes from all of your time. We're charging you for the minutes that that task is incurred, right? So if it took us 3 minutes, then it's just 3 minutes that are coming off of your time. The flip side to that is that we do have a use it or lose it policy, because we have employees. And so I've got to allocate hours to that. That's why every week our clients get their task reports so that they know where they're at. We want them to use their hours. We do not want people to be in a situation where they're losing hours. We are very, very clear on the fact that we can support pretty much any industry and support any individual. We have solo entrepreneurs to companies who use us that are multi-mullion-dollar companies with hundreds of employees. There are things, as you mentioned, the email situation, right, with the attorney, that are sensitive, and sometimes they don't want individuals in-house handling them and dealing with them. We can run the gamut of what someone might need support with. And if they're an individual, if they're a law firm just starting out and they want to become that law firm owner that has multiple attorneys working with them, I don't see why you can't use a service like ours that then helps you take that stepping stone, get to that place without having to hire a full-time person. When you're having to hire a full-time person, it makes it really difficult, because now you're dealing with HR, and now you're dealing with payroll, and now you're dealing with taxes, and now you're dealing with all of these things. Whereas you can do 10 hours a month with us, and you can say, hey, for the next 2 months, I'm going to be head down in a trial. Can we reduce to 5 hours a month for the next 2 months? We can manage that.
Mm-hmm.
Where a lot of other people can't.
Yeah, it's really unique. What you have set up is really unique. And I'm saying it like, where can people find you? But really, truly, everyone listening to this knows they need to delegate. If you're listening to my podcast, this is certainly not the first time that you're hearing anything about delegation. And even if you feel like you are delegating some, use this opportunity to consider what else, because your company is perfectly named, buying time. And everybody's going nuts, as they should. It's an amazing book. Buy Back Your Time is an amazing book. It lays out the perfect case for why someone should hire a company like yours. The perfect case, because it's not one person that you have to plug their skill sets into what is needed. It's basically saying, just like you said, identify the things that you need to get off of your plate, that you want to get off of your plate, and just start the conversation, because Bibi's team will lead you to be able to delegate it really well. So you can buy back your time, and you can give time to the things that you should be spending your time on, the higher value things. So to me, it's like, if you've been sitting on something, or if you're not really pumped about the current arrangement you have with who you've been delegating to, I would 100% say, give this a shot, because to me, this is a different way of working with people that is needed and helpful. And yeah, it feels like a partnership. It doesn't feel like just an assistant that you're delegating to. So yeah.
I love it. That's our intention. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I love that. More important than even like hearing all of the wonderful things and nice things that you have to say about my team, for me, I just love hearing that your wheels are turning and that you're thinking about what else can I delegate? What else can I start to look at to give to them? And that's really what we want to create is that let's just start. Let's just start. Let's figure out the first thing and then the second thing and, move on from there. So I so appreciate you having me on. I'm so excited to work because the clients that we have in common, I love and adore them. And I got to imagine that if we're attracting the same type of people, that's going to continue to be a good situation for both of us.
Yeah, definitely. I'm so grateful. People who like this podcast and who end up working with me they're of like mind. I don't know how to explain it. They're just the coolest. I am so grateful for that. I'm so grateful for that. And one other thing, this just to plant seeds in people's minds. So I had a conversation with you a few weeks ago about like what else we could hand over. And just in conversation, this is another reason just to start the conversation with buying time is that as we start talking about certain things that I would like to improve, the solutions that came out of those conversations were not what I thought at all. That helped us identify how to deliver better client experience, especially for private, that I had never even thought of before. And you guys can really have a helping hand in delivering that, creating that deliverable for them. That doesn't happen when you're sitting alone in your head with your thoughts, trying to think about your own business. I am an example of that just within the last month. So getting on the phone, having a conversation with you, solutions started coming that it didn't come on my own. It came through conversation with you guys because you really understand how to add value. So that's another reason to start the conversation.
I love it. I love it. Yes. Start the conversation. I think that so many people wait until it's perfect. It's like cleaning the house before the housekeeper comes. It's,
well, I kind of do that too, but, but Oh my gosh.
But
Thank you.
You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. I do. I totally do.
It's this idea that the more that you can start to look at what don't I know and what may somebody else know that I don't, right? Like even the things that you do in your business, somebody else can learn from them, but they may not have exposure to it. We have exposure to all these different industries and to all these different people doing things a different way. And my team will do that all the time where they may see you doing something a certain way and go, hey, Melissa, we have this other client who kind of has this same situation, but she uses XYZ. Are you willing to look at this? Because it may be something that saves you time, energy, and money.
Yeah. Oh, thanks, Bibi. This is great.
Thank you, Melissa. I so appreciate you having me on. And I can't tell you how much, this goes both ways. The team loves working with you. They love working with your team. And I think that the Love Fest will just continue on for a while.
Cool. Great. I'm all for it.
Okay.
Hey, you may not know this, but there's a free guide for a process I teach called Monday Map, Friday Wrap. If you go to velocitywork.com, it's all yours. It's about how to plan your time and honor your plans so that week over week, more work that moves the needle is getting done in less time. Go to velocitywork.com to get your free copy. Thank you for listening to the Law Firm Owner Podcast. If you're ready to get clearer on your vision, data, and mindset, then head over to velocitywork.com where you can plug in to quarterly strategic planning with accountability and coaching in between. This is the work that creates velocity.